anymore.
Are we recording over it?
That should cover everything.
All right.
Showing that.
Warm up our voices. No.
Wow.
Man, that didn't get that at all. Maybe it's just the low tone.
Just so you know, I'm not editing that out. That's going front and center. Welcome to I'd Rather Be Motivated, the first ever podcast from the duders that bring you I'd Rather Be Drawing, a comics artist collective that seeks to learn by doing. I'm Scott O'Green, and this is David Fleming.
Hey guys, really excited about this one. This is the first ever podcast on the I'd Rather Be Drawing website. This week we're going to be going over this year's Kansas City Comic-Con experience.
It was a blast. We had a great time, so we're just going to kind of jump right in. I had a few questions lined out here we wanted to talk about that kind of helped outline our experience. So one, David, I'm going to ask you, this was our second show, so now that you've kind of crossed that hurdle of the first show, what was your goal going into this one, your second con?
Well, last year's con was definitely a little bit more of like, let's make some sales. I remember we told each other, like, let's just make one sale.
I know, just that one. Just don't get laughed out of the building.
Yeah, basically. And and that happened really quickly, actually. And then it was kind of like, I guess, make two sales. And then we went through the whole con with that kind of mindset.
Yeah, it became, let's sell. What can we sell? Which was a lot of fun, and it gets you engaging people and everything. But we were definitely kind of minded that way, I think.
Yeah, this year was all about the connections. So I was like, okay, my goal for this show is definitely be like, what kind of connections can I make? We made lots of good ones last year, definitely, and stuff. But this one was like, not just with fans, but around the con, walk around the con, get more of an experience on our alley. I think we really completely ignored the artists in the alley last con.
Yeah, we were so, I think, just worried about representing and not falling on our faces that time really sort of seems to fly when you're at con and you're behind a table. It's long and it's grueling, but in a great fun way, and it can just sort of pass by when you blink. So this time I think we had talked about, what David had mentioned, where we just really wanted to talk to the artists to our right and left, because I did it with like one group, Rodney Fike, he was at the last con, and that's just turned into a pretty cool relationship, so we just wanted to kind of explore that more with other people's experiences to our right and left.
Yeah, definitely. And then this con, having you actually absent on Friday was actually helpful. It made me kind of pull myself out of the booth a little bit more, and then it was like, all right, well, I don't have Scott behind the booth to just talk to and giggle with, so right. I'm a very extrovert kind of person, so I found myself already making faces to people across the way, and then those connections were made really early, and that was really fun.
It did feel like by the time I got there Saturday, some of that groundwork was already laid, which was nice for me. I was just at my other job thinking about how much I'd rather be drawing. Bada-bing! We'll put a little sound effect there to highlight.
Yeah, definitely.
That's pretty awesome.
Here's a marker.
Bam!
Cut right there where everything's got loud.
Thanks, pal.
All right. So let's continue this along. So next question I have for you, Scott, is just like, what was the most fun experience of the con?
Well, it was all pretty awesome. I love going to cons because it feels like everybody's there for a common goal, which is the love of comics, which I really enjoy. But one of the things that was pretty awesome at this show was a live drawing event where folks would come up on a stage and you'd either play music or paint or just do your thing. And David and I kind of decided to collaborate on a piece that was maybe a bit more exciting for people to watch than just us sitting there inking something all tiny and small. So we did a comic abstract thing in the theme of Stranger Things, which I'm guessing a few of you have probably heard of by now. But man, it was a blast just kind of going and turning off all of the lessons that you learn, because you're on a time crunch, you're there in front of people, you just have to turn all that off and just go for it. And we do have on the video, kind of at the beginning of this, was sort of showing that process and what happened as a result of it. So that, besides the people and everything, just pure experience, that was a blast.
Yeah, I would have to say that was definitely my favorite part too. I was teasing the other guys, the other booths, and they were like, "Yeah, I can tell you're the extrovert type," because I came back from that and I was like, "Let's do this."
I know, we were all pumped afterward. They were laughing at us because we're all pumped, like high five and be like, "Yeah, man, we slaughtered that piece." I turned to David when it was over and I was like, "Is it too much that I kind of expected a little bit of an applause when we were done?"
Yeah, definitely.
We were just stoked, riding high on it, but.
Awesome, yeah. And I'm going to cut you there too and say that like my part of it was definitely that plus the fans. We got a lot of people who was their first con and stuff, and it's a really cool thing to like make the experience for those people. Like they're like, "Yeah, I don't even know what you do at a con," and I'm like, "This is what you do at a con. You come to the artists, you bother them, you talk to them about what they do, and like you give them some support, and you come back next year."
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and like one thing we kind of talked to ourselves about at the beginning is we've all experienced going to a con as a customer, as a patron, and you want to look at everybody's art and you want to buy everybody's art, but it's impossible. You can't do that. But you at least want to be able to take a look and talk to people, but you have kind of had that experience where you don't buy anything, you go to walk away, and you sort of see the artist just sort of slump and sad and defeated, and you don't want to do that to people, so we just kind of never wanted to be that. So if people take the time to come over and talk to us, we just try to stay all smiles and hey, have a great day, and not focus on that sale. I'm sure it's different when folks are kind of depending on it for their livelihood and stuff, but at this point in our con career, we're just looking to have fun and make sure everybody else is having fun as well.
Yeah, and I will say that those two things are equally connected, I found. So going back to the first question of my difference between the two cons, focusing on the people, focusing on just the experiences and the connections, like it almost equated to more. Like you said, this was a little bit of a smaller con than our first one, and we did equally as well because we just didn't focus on like, what am I selling? Are you going to buy that thing? It was like, no, man, like, what are you doing? What'd you buy there? What are you into? Oh yeah, me too. And like,
yeah, on the business side, it did, just being personable and talking with people did equate to sales. We didn't have to push as much, but it does start with a simple conversation. If someone's walking past us going, "Oh, is that a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles poster? Awesome. I love that show. Remember the cartoon?" And all of a sudden you're just having a conversation with somebody and they're coming over to check out your artwork. You're not yelling at someone, "Hey, want to hear about my comic?" Everyone's sort of saying that, and sales pitches kind of go in one ear and out the other. You want to be ready for that stuff when people are interested, but we just focused on kind of the personal, having fun with folks, and it seemed to kind of pay off for us. Which we've kind of talked about, but leads into kind of the third question here is, what did you take away from this? What lessons did you learn?
Yeah, I'm going to go back to that last question too and just connect the two together. So I definitely think the number one thing I learned is like, you focus on like, okay, what's my table look like? You know, how many things do I have here to sell to all the people? And, you know, what are my products? What's my pitch? And it was like, in the end, none of that mattered once you were just talking to a dude, because like I said, it's all about just like that experience of the con and just trying to connect those to those people. Then you make a lasting customer, someone who ends up messaging afterwards and gives you that like, "Hey man, you totally made my whole experience." Like that was
a pretty
awesome.
Cool feeling, that's for sure. Yeah, I love that because it did a big thing for both of us was we sold a little bit. You sell fan art at these things, and that's a great way to get people over and seeing what you're doing. But we both had the experience of selling some of our original character stuff, and almost even like getting fans for these little characters. I had this little pumpkin-headed guy, and a couple people, especially this one person in particular, just kind of fell in love, and that warmed my heart, and it was a great feeling, and that person's like kind of paying attention to what I'm doing now. So it raises your game and makes you want to do it a little bit better, so that those connections you did make, I mean, that's more eyes on you, so you got to raise your game and make it that much better. But with that, just kind of basic stuff I learned on the practical side was eye level. David and I were standing most of the time. If we had more commissions, and when it comes to that, you'll have to take breaks and sit down and do your thing, but everyone's just sort of sitting behind their table, and we're standing. We're using our real estate on our table, so we have small stuff to really tall stuff, so we're standing behind it, engaging people. Like I said, we're not barking at people saying, "Hey, come over here," but just starting conversations. And that simple eye level thing I really noticed at our table helped out for us. And also, like I said, using the real estate, which we noticed all the other artists down our alley had art hanging from the front of their table just on clips pinned to the tablecloths. And we noticed a couple times, that attracting people from a couple aisles over, them looking over and seeing something that intrigued them, so they come over to ask about it. So using your real estate on your table, not just setting it on top, but standing things up so people can see it as they're walking by. Having tall things behind you so they can see it from far away, stuff on the front of your table, just really using your real estate. I found that to be really important. And just remembering, like, same in your drawings and your writing, it's all about composition. And that's what your table is, composition.
Yeah, and I'll jump in and I'll say, too, a big thing I learned came to me on Friday. It was a little bit slow on Friday. Definitely, the crowds were definitely waiting for that Saturday, Sunday. Because even, big thing we noticed, too, Sunday was huge. Mm-hmm. It seemed like the other con, Sunday was the teeter day, but in this one, it was like a slow start.
They were waiting for those deals, I think, on Sunday.
When I got a chance to walk around, and it seemed like there was a lot of slumping at the tables kind of thing, a little bit of like, what's this, I can't feel out the crowd. And a huge lesson I learned was like, you are the reason they're there. You when you get a table at a con, you need to be the reason that you make these people come back to the con next year. It's like, what did you do at con? Like, who are the big guests? And yeah, you maybe just be a small dude at your table just trying to get some dudes to come over, but like every time a person walks by, it's one more chance to be the reason they come back next year. And I think we grabbed a few of them, and I'm really excited for that, for next year's season, to maybe see some faces again and be like, hey, what's up? Like what's up with your life? We got a lot of people who are into our idea of sharing, and like, this is how you make art, and this is like, we're learning by doing, you learn by doing, come to the website.
Not waiting till you get to a point where you feel comfortable, but just putting yourself out there before all that and just saying, this is where I'm at, watch me do my thing.
Yeah.
But I will have to give props to Kansas City Comic-Con this year, because with a lot of cons that really push the media guests and have big names for that, which is fine and that's great, Kansas City Comic-Con really did seem to put a lot of emphasis on the artists, which, David, I heard you mentioning that a lot to people, which I think a lot of fans responded well to. Yes, we love the media guests, but the people that love the comics and they're there for the comics and the storytelling and the artwork, there was a lot of those people there, and there was a lot of artists to represent. So like you said, that kind of idea of not slumping as an artist and getting disappointed when things aren't going your way, because we were having a blast, but a lot of the artists we talked to, at least some, on Saturday were kind of getting disappointed because it maybe didn't seem as profitable as other cons, or it wasn't as good a day as they were hoping. But then on Sunday was way better than they expected and kind of doubled their money back on a day that they thought was a slow day. So gauging your expectations there and not centering it so much around the money, because like I said, everyone's got beautiful art and you wish you could buy everything, but you can't. But if you make your goals centered around the experience and the people, I think it's a much richer experience, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think that about wraps it up. What do you think?
It does. Just once again, want to say thanks to Kansas City Comic-Con this year. It was a blast. We have so many awesome creators in the area. Jason Aaron, Dennis Hopeless, Steven Sanders, Robert Wilson IV, Kyle Stram, Mike Sullivan, Demont Jordan, BJ Hahn. The list goes on and on. There's just so many great people out there. So when you get a chance next year for Planet Comic-Con, Kansas City Comic-Con, come check out the scene in the Kansas City area, because it's pretty awesome. David, where can we find you? Besides the website here, where else can people kind of see what you're
you guys
doing?
Follow me on Facebook at Mr. David Fleming, or on my Instagram at Art of Mr. Fleming. Both of those kind of link back to each other, and I'm always doing a little bit on both. Check me out on Instagram. That's where you'll see the most of me.
And they all kind of lead back here to I'dRatherBeDrawing.com, which we also have an I'd Rather Be Drawing Facebook page, so you can check that out. You can also find me, Scott O. Green, on Instagram. Once again, I kind of use that one a lot myself, at Mr. Green Draws. That's Mr.Green, just like the color, draws. So yeah, thanks very much for checking this out. It's our first time out making a podcast video type thing. We hope to do a lot of this stuff in the future and just keep a lot of hopefully really cool content coming at you guys, highlighting our experience and hopefully from our mistakes giving you a few lessons to learn from. Anything else to wrap up, David?
Yeah, close this window and go draw.
There you go. Everybody take it easy. Love, peace, and comics.